Hi there. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Ask Amy. Question today from Maria. Maria says, I heard a podcast with you and Annie Grace. I bought the book and read your book. I get the point. It's just a thought and it will go away. However, most of the time that thought will come in and then go away, but sometimes, too many times, the thought is so strong and powerful that my mind doesn't have a chance to even recognize it before I'm right back into my habit. It's coming like a speed of lightning. Any suggestions? So yes, Maria, thank you for reading the book and being interested in this. And what you're saying is 100% true. Thought comes in like a speed of lightning and does what it does, and we don't really have any say in it. It's not about catching it. It's not about stopping it, because I don't believe we can catch it or stop it. It isn't about, as you say, I get the point. It's just a thought and it will go away. It's actually not about it going away, although that's very, very normal that you would pick up on that. It's true. It does go away. Thought always comes and goes, always. It's never, ever not been the case. So it does come and it does go away, and it does sometimes come in very quickly, and we find ourselves acting on it. But it isn't like us saying, oh, well, it just comes and goes, so why are you so worried about it? It's really a lot more than that. So I want you to keep reading and keep listening, because this, for all humans, there's a lot of sort of things to see about this. See, your whole life, Maria, mine too, everybody's too, since the time we were 2 years old, we've been so identified with thought, it hypnotizes us. It's literally like a dream. It's literally like a dream world that we're living in. We're walking around hypnotized by thought. Thought is not true. It's never true. It's never the truth. It's a fuzzy representation of all kinds of stuff. It's filled with biases and memories and some sensory information, and we don't even know what the heck it is, really. And I would highly encourage you to really look at that and get super curious about what it even is that's hypnotizing you and that you're walking around, under the effects of. Get curious about what is that, right? For all of us, get curious. What is this that has us hypnotized and that we are under the effects of, and we don't even know what it is? But I can tell you what it isn't. It is not telling you the truth. It is not personal and precious to you. Thought arises all the time, and the you that feels drawn into it and that feels like this is my thinking and it's happening to me and I need to do something about it, that you is also a thought. There is no separate you that now needs to see a thought and do something about a thought and try to stop a thought and not act on a thought. You are a thought too. The whole thing is one big flow of thought. One big flow of life. There is no separation in any of it. And if there's no separate over here that's going to act on this part over here, then there's just nothing that we're going to do to stop it. Now, gets very paradoxical, because we do read books like mine and Annie's and listen to things like this, and there is a bigger seeing around it that happens. You aren't making that happen. You aren't making yourself see this in a new way, but if you're listening to this, it's happening. It's just happening. So there is a way in which thought comes to be seen as the hypnotic dream stuff that it truly is. As we see how our mind churns this stuff out, and it always has that me thought, that I thought wrapped up in it, which is all we are, is you and I and me and I, all thought. as that happens and we get sucked into the flow of it, and it feels very comforting there and familiar, and it gives us lots of stuff to do, lots of problems to solve, lots of flaws to fix, lots of things to better in that flow of thinking. We get carried away with that flow of thinking, and before we know it, we're fully in this dream world where we are separate characters, separate from the whole of life, and we're not good enough, and something's going to happen, and we're going to die someday, and we need to figure all this stuff out. Now, when we're living in that, it's a big roller coaster. There's a lot of habits and addiction and anxiety and depression that come up, and there's also a lot of joy and happiness and really nice moments that come up. Awesome. But that is the hypnotic dream state that we call real life, that we think is reality. It's not reality. It's thought. It's us being caught up in thought. So that's maybe the simplest way I can say it. Now, the logical question might be, well, how the heck do I get out of it? How do I get out of this dream state? If I'm just hypnotized, how do I wake up? How do I wake up from all of this? I think we each find our own ways of waking up. We each find various things that pique our curiosity and interest and pull us out of the dream. Different little things that wake us up from the dream or remind us, oh, I think I'm in the dream. Anything habitual, anything repetitive, anything heavy that's full of me and I and my, and I'm not good enough in my life, and I should, and this should be different. All of that is just nothing but this hypnotic trance of thought. So there's lots and lots, as you explore this more, you'll see even more, lots and lots of clues that we're in this hypnotic trance of thought. And that's huge. We need to see those clues to see that we're in it. And the more that we see that we're in it, the more we can kind of not take it so seriously. And the more we don't take it so seriously, we see it for what it is in real time, the more we tend to just kind of naturally be sort of pushed out of it, because we're not in there milking it and fixing ourselves and solving all the problems. We're on to it. We see the mind wanting to do all those things, but you know what that means at some point. And you don't take the bait, and you don't get all wrapped up, and you don't say, no, I really am not good enough and I have to do these things to be okay. Like, that just happens less and less the more we wake up to how this is really all unfolding, and the actual dream that all of this is, when it's all about you and your life and your flaws and your positive points and all of that, how things are going for you, that's the dream. So we just wake up to that. We naturally get pulled out of it. And if you want to, I would highly recommend it. You can spend some time not thinking. Spend some time fully immersed in what your senses are showing you. Spend some time just in this, here, now. Not in a story about this, not in a commentary about this. Just here. What's arising? What is being seen? What is being smelled? What is being felt? What is being heard? Even what is being thought, but you aren't thinking it, and don't get wrapped up in that story. We're just back here in now, the only time there is, and all of this stuff is being seen and felt and smelled and heard, and that's what's true. And then when there's a story about it, and particularly when you are the main character in that story, which you always are, we always are, that is thought. And when we flow down that river with that, now we're off in a different reality that's not reality at all, because it's not happening. This is where we're like, how am I going to face that next urge? And what am I going to do when that next thought comes along? Well, it doesn't matter. That's imaginary. This is what's real right here. So, Maria, I just, again, love that something in what you heard from me and Annie sparked this curiosity and led you to check out our books. And just consider that the very first step, and keep staying curious about all of this. Keep being just insanely curious about, is this really a dream? Could this be like a illusion that we're living in? Like, is it really as solid as it feels? What even is this thought that pulls me along all the time? What's it made out of? How do I know I'm thinking anything? The more you can get curious at that level, I promise you, you will see things. You will see things that are perfect for you to be seen. But it's definitely not about battling thought. It's definitely not about outrunning it or not giving into it. It's further removed from that, much bigger. It's about seeing it for what it is, seeing the role of thought, and really in many cases the lack of important role of thought, versus how primary it tends to be for all of us. We live in these storylines. We live in this linear past-future storyline, and all of that is thought. There's thought, which is that, storylines and time and space and past and future, and then there's just what's actually here, alive, real, right now, which is simply what's being seen and felt and smelled and touched and heard. So notice that for yourself and see if that balance doesn't start to shift. And as it does, there's no question thought is going to start to look really, really different to you. Send your questions to askamy at thelittleschoolbigchange.com and meet me here on Mondays where I speak to them. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.